So here we are now. It's Tuesday, June 30th. You probably wondered what we were going to talk about when we talked about God's method of releasing us to heaven. In John 14, God tells us He is preparing a place for us. He speaks of mansions and a place for each of us there. Have you considered what needs to take place if we are to go to heaven and enjoy the place that He has been preparing for us? The last time I checked, every person who has been born has had to die or is in the process of dying. God grants us some sickness or an old body, so we will think about dying and whether or not we're ready to die and go to heaven. Or, if we haven't received Christ, we would end up in hell. Death is no guarantee of going to heaven. Death is not a guarantee of leaving this life and heading toward heaven. I just had to repeat that. Our Bible tells us God has an appointed time for each of us to move along to our eternal home. You know that's in Hebrews chapter 9 and verse 27. Most all of you who are spending time with me this evening have taken care of your eternal place of residence because you have received Christ as your Savior. You are well along the way to making Him the Lord of your life. You may wonder how or when you're going to die. Will it be a long process? Will it be painful? Or will I go to bed some night and just wake up in heaven? It is my purpose tonight to help you to see God allows us some form of sickness which leads to death, so we will think about our dying and be certain to be ready when we step into eternity to see the Lord. Sickness or old age are gifts from God to those whose lives are so full and so busy with their schedules that they haven't taken time to consider their soul. There was a farmer in the book of Luke, chapter 12, verses 16 through 21, who put great trust in his riches from the farm. And so one night, he had such a good harvest, he had built new barns, he decided to have a party. And he said, I will just have a party and I'm fixed for life now. Well, there's nothing wrong with success, but to put your faith in earthly success and wealth makes a man poor before God. He was so busy being involved in gaining earthly things that he did not take time to think about the consequences of dying. Maybe you've lost contact with your grandparents or a child. Maybe you're fighting cancer or the effects of a heart attack or a stroke. Instead of being disappointed with God for allowing these things to come into our lives, we should thank Him for bringing our death or the deaths of others into our lives because it helps us to know if we are prepared for eternity. I would like to leave you this evening with the thought of God being ever so kind in warning us we are about to see Him face to face in heaven, or stand before Him, if we haven't received Christ, to receive the judgment of the great white throne. Maybe these kind of thoughts will help you to see God's goodness in the passing of your loved ones and lessen your grief. Good evening.